Goodbye and good riddance. What's up, guys? I'm here, and here we are to do a breakdown and review of chapter 410 of My Hero Academia, which is known as Farewell, All for One. And honestly, no, don't fare well. Fare horribly. Fare stupidly. Fare arrogant. Fare whatever. But whatever you do, do not fare well, all for one. Because you and I are not friends. We aren't even enemies. I wouldn't even give you the grace of that title. You are but a waste of time and a blight on this narrative, and I am more than happy that you have finally, after 10,000 years, have fallen. Oh, how victory tastes oh so sweet. But of course, let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. Adding me, ready, 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? I'll go pencil here. Fun fact, I do have a pencil. Another fun fact, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, it feels good, man. It feels so good. It feels so good finally getting this man going. Finally that he's now, presumably, I know there's the trump card thing that's immediately mentioned, which is so, it's probably going to come back later. But at least in my opinion, for all intents and purposes, this is the traditional end of All for One. Whatever trump card the other one has, that's his quirk vestige. That's something different. It's like what we see with Hawks in this chapter. So I'm going to make the genuine assumption that All for One's dead. And with that being the case, I'm going to make a video talking about his reintroduction to the narrative, whether or not it's worth it, the goods and bads, all that, now that he's finally gone. Sweet mother of mercy, it's been so long. But let's not waste any more time. Let's actually hop into the chapter itself. I wonder what he sounds like in his head now that he's a baby. But let's see.
I'm almost there. I need to give Todoroki my quirk. My consciousness will strengthen, and the ultimate body will be mine.
One thing I will give All for One, though. Man, does that dude have some determination. Like, gee, how? Like, we'll get into his sheer stupidity in a second. I'm going to talk about it. I'm sorry. This is the last time I get to talk about it in the chapter review. So don't worry. You'll never have to hear about me talking about All for One stupidity ever again. But with that being the case, I'll respect the gumption. You know, he's still deluding himself and believing he genuinely has a chance. Like, I'm not even sure, right? Say Bakugo wasn't here. I don't think All for One would have actually reached him. Because like you'll see why I think that, but like you can even kind of tell it here. Look at what's left of him. So like, it's very, very likely that Bakugo literally could have just taken 2 steps to the side and been absolutely fine and watched All for One just. But there's even no point in this chapter. So it is funny that Baby for One is so confident that
yes, I can still do it. I swear. Looking at Tomura, the part of me inside him went out without using that trump card.
I don't know why Trump is the one emphasized here. I feel like it should be that should be bolded. I don't know. Is that weird to anyone else? Like this, when I was doing the live reaction, which you can check it over on Patreon for as low as $1 a month, become a member of the channel to check out for as low as $3 a month. When I was doing the live reaction, I read this wrong for the first time, and it's because like. I swear, now no wait, my English isn't actually the best, like, and I mean like in a writing sense. Obviously in a speaking sense, you guys hear me speak all the time, but like in a writing sense, like my English sucks. I don't know how to properly use commas, punctuation, and I'm terrible. I don't know how I got through college. But with that being the case, I swear the sentence would sound better, or at least sound proper, if it went,
looking at Tomura, the part of me inside him went without using that trump card,
not
looking at Tomura, the part of me that went inside without.
Wait, see, that's also why the sentence just sounds weird to me. But
looking at Tomura, the part of me inside him went without using that trump card.
Like, I don't know. Does that sound weird to anyone? That may just be me. That may entirely just be me, but it feels a little bit off. I'm not sure what it is. I think it is literally just the emphasis on the word Trump versus that. Whatever. But with that being the case, this is essentially the soft establishment that Hori's saying if he feels like using All for One again, like as a character or whatever, he still has the quirk vestige inside of Shigaraki. There's still some sort of unknown trump card. This could just disappear. This could just mean nothing. It's entirely possible. I wouldn't mind if it went absolutely nowhere. In fact, I kind of want it to go absolutely nowhere. But it's such a late game thing to establish, especially in All for One's end chapter. Like, I think everybody named Mama knows it's gonna go somewhere, which is like, I just want All for One to be gone, bro. Just keep the quirk, get rid of the character. But this is most likely a soft confirmation. If he's not gonna come back, I don't think he's gonna come back. I think this is the end of All for One, the original body as we knew it. But in terms of like his influence still being a lasting impact on the narrative, I think that will be a thing, unfortunately. But we do get to see.
I can still win this. If I take Tomura's body, I'll be able to steal One for All.
Once again, you go back into the obsession that All for One had. And one thing I will admit, I think the backstory that Horikoshi decided to dive into for All for One is, one, a little bit too late for me to actually care about anything, and two, I think it does genuinely establish a rather interesting part of the character. The character's like, well, I mean, it's kind of builds into the idea of, does a quirk determine your character, or does your character determine your quirk? But it's considering he was born with All for One, quite literally, it's presumable that his quirk determined his character. But that obsession, right? Like, he really just wants his first possession back. In his mind, the first thing he ever owned in the world was Yoichi. So when he says, Yoichi, I need you, it's probably in a very literal sense where his brain has kind of just been broken over and over and over again as these One for All vessels, as his brother keeps slipping away, ever since he lost his first possession. And I think Yoichi literally translates to possession or something. Like, I forget what the translation means, but I think that's literally what it means to some sort of degree. It means possession of some kind. It means that All for One has just been looking to get back that first thing. It's kind of like, I still remember when I was a young lad, my favorite little game was Mario Kart for the Nintendo DS. What I wouldn't give to have that copy of Mario Kart for the Nintendo DS. I forget where I even lost it, and that's what hurts me the most. At least if I knew where it went, I could live in peace knowing that it's just there. I may have left it in a hotel, I may have left it on the ground somewhere, something, but I don't even know where it went. And it hurts me to my very core. 70 years down the line, I'll be thinking about that one beautiful copy of Mario Kart DS that is lost to time, never to be able to cherish it ever again. It'll haunt me to the end of my days. But of course, I'm memeing about that for the most part. I actually don't really care that much. It's just been a while. I actually generally don't know where that thing is. But I'm assuming All for One has that on like 11 for his brother. His first possession, the only person who's literally biogenetically tied to him, because presumably All for One didn't actually have any kids. So like, with that being the case, it's almost, I thought this was, see, this is why you double check things in the library. I thought this was like a baby All for One reaching out or something. This is a house. What in the world was I, what was I picturing? What was I visualizing? But with that being the case, I mean, it's an extra layer added to the character, but this is a thing. Like, I'm not sure what was Hori's intention for All for One. Did he want us to care about and or like the character, or hold him anywhere near to the same regard as any of the League of Villain members? Any of them? Like, notably, I still probably do like if I were to take composite All for One, like the All for One that was introduced way earlier on in the series, and the one that we had at Kamino Ward, and the one that we had during like the Vigilante arc, the Giga Brain Mastermind, and I were to just go with that one, yeah, he's probably my second favorite League of Villains member. Yeah, I'd say, if he counts as a member, if he's like a shadow organizer. But like, I don't know, man. Like, the All for One that we've been getting for the past while, the idiot, not a fan of it. Not a fan of it. But with that being the case, we see All for One's real goal, his real motivation, Hori's last bid to make us care about the character, or maybe just, once again, to establish more about the character. It's hard to tell when, with mangaka, you can almost never read the intent behind anything, but at least to me, this is Hori's last bid at making All for One a bit more human. Do I think Hori wants us to like All for One? No. I don't think Hori wants us to really care all that much. He just wants to explain it a bit. So this last bid, this last few words is what we get for All for One, and explaining his deep-seated motivation.
Unpleasant experiences leave a bigger impact, right? That's why I want to crash everyone's future. Yoichi, I want everyone to see me forever and ever.
So essentially, All For One's biggest fear is one of being remembered. And now, here's the thing. Once again, I do not like All For One. That much. Not really. I really just don't. Especially recent All For One. I've not been a fan of the character ever since he decided to be stupid. Literally, I think the character kind of hard fell off a cliff the moment he started rewinding. It's like the moment he went back to his prime self or his younger self, got his face back, every single brain cell left just in that, it just atomized, and he's been on a downward slope ever since. Realistically, I stopped liking All For One the moment he came back into the narrative, but like, if I were to do an enjoyment of All For One graph, it probably goes something like this, towards the original series building up more, or the back half of the series starting up more and more and more, peaks at Kamina Ward. I love his characterization there. I love the reveal there. I love his idiocy there. It's idiocy, but it's idiocy for a good reason. He thought he could beat All Might, considering All Might was also just an old man at that point. Then he just kind of stays there as a figurehead, as the mentor. He kind of stays like in the All Might purview for a while. He's alive. He did his thing with his students, but he had passed it on to the next generation. Then it sharply drops off. Like, it goes through, like if the line started here, if this is the flat point of the graph, when he took over Shigaraki, it just plummeted, like straight through the floor. But then in Vigilante, he like rose back up because I loved his personality. I loved the games he was playing with Deck. I loved all that, the way he manipulated and got everything. I love that. And then he started going up more and more and more. And we got to see All For One versus Endeavor. And then he started rewinding and his IQ went through the floor and suddenly he dropped again. I don't know. So All For One, he's been real darn stupid. But I can understand this. Even if I think it's kind of weird, I can kind of see it in his motivation to be the big bad villain. Like, this isn't something that's new, it's just further contextualization for All For One's motivations, and once again, is a bit to make him more human. I understand the desire to be remembered. I want to know when I go that I've helped people, that I've made people happy, that I did something with my life that has left some sort of impression, that the moment I go, I don't just disappear permanently, because at least in my opinion, I forget what this is like. Is this like, where's this morality idea? I think it's either Kingdom Hearts from Birth by Sleep when Axel gives his little speech about when to be remembered, or it's something else. There's some other series that talks about remembrance, I think gave me this ideology. But like, personally, I believe the moment you truly perish, like you're just wiped from existence, is when people stop remembering you. That's my opinion, at least fully in my mind. You will live on, whether it be in infamy or in good love, if you are able to leave an impact. But of course, with that, I still understand and respect the permanence of the end of life. But All For One doesn't. And I think that's the difference between me and him as people. I'm fine with just knowing that I went out making some people happy, that I enriched some people's lives, and I had a point and purpose in this beautiful thing we call life. But All For One is not pleased with the end or the impact he will leave. He wants to, essentially, I kind of think of our lives as stamps, where we come in, we are stamped on the paper, our impact lasts as long as that stamp is held, and then we remove when we perish. But what was left on the paper, the stamp and the ink itself, is what we are. But of course, as time passes, as more of the people who knew us and more of the people who were connected to us go away, and whatever impacts we've left on the world slowly fade into obscurity, then that ink is fading and fading and fading and fading and fading until the ink no longer registers. The stamp is gone. But with All For One, it's like he never wanted to lift the stamp. He wanted to come into life and just hold on. It's likely that after the Shigaraki body got old, he would have hopped to a new one. After the new one got old, he would hop to another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. All For One wants to be permanent. He wants to be that stamp that never gets lifted, the ink that never runs out. But unfortunately, life is not that kind to anyone. And we see Baby For One, who claims, "I'm so close." Desperation, despair, back to his weird little bug-eyed self. And we see Bakugo goes, "Oh, sweet mother of mercy, how long is Hori gonna drag this one out? You aren't finished yet?" And, of course, All For One is in fact not finished yet as he hobbles over towards Bakugo. He's literally crawling. And you see Bakugo realize, "Oh shoot, That's probably my lungs. And he coughs up a whole bunch of juice. Because you gotta remember, Bakugo, despite having his heart restored, one, he doesn't actually have a Edshot heart. That was, I don't think I actually covered that chapter, but he's still alive. So Edshot didn't actually have to become Bakugo's heart. Edshot lived. And due to that, all that's keeping up after Edshot like wove everything back together is Bakugo's heart off the detonations that have leaked throughout his entire body. But of course, like, the human's body is not supposed to function like that, at least in a loose sense. So Bakugo, of course, by pushing himself through all that pain, it's impressive, it's amazing, it's legendary, a legendary feat for someone his age and someone of his caliber. But like, it's not sustainable, and ultimately, it is going to lead to his downfall, as you see with the way he a whole loogie of juice, and we hear his internal monologue. I feel cold. My body won't move. I'm about to hit the ground. So, Bakugo, even if he's going to live, he is going to suffer for pushing his body as hard as he did. Remember, before he even fell, he had taken a whole bunch of damage. And then he got his heart blown up. And then he got forcefully restored. And then didn't get any actual proper healing. It's not like Recovery Girl gave him a kiss or anything. No. That man just fought for the fight's sake after getting up from Edshot. And has been detonating his body like crazy. So the repercussions being a thing makes sense. And I am happy that Hori's including them. I do really like that. And I do like a little detail here. It's not as noticeable, but it'll come into play in a second. How deeply the explosions from his sweat, just from his palms, have integrated so much into his biology. You're going to see something in a little bit that I'm going to point out that I like. But just look at that right there. That little spark of lightness in all that darkness, and little sparks here and there. Gonna mean something a little bit. But we see that All For One lets out the most intimidating baby roar ever. It's supposed to be move. So, once again, I'm not sure if All For One was planning to crawl all the way to Shigaraki, but bro was generally gonna cook himself. And we see him realize, I can't even talk. Because he's a bit like, I'm not sure, like, when do our vocal cords fully develop? Because, like, I know babies vocalize immediately. Like, All For One vocalizes. And, like, I come from a big family, so I've had a lot of baby cousins. And, like, I've lifted them up, and whenever they do, they just... they either stare at me in confusion, like, who is this new man? And why does he have a pencil with him? And what is that strapped to his waist? It's always this. I always have it on me and keep it on me at all times. But usually they just be yelling. And, like... It's sad to see villain of all. Well, it's beautiful. I say it's sad for him, but it's amazing for us to see the demon lord. The Maleficent is the mistress of all evil, the master of all evil, reduced to a screaming baby. I can't even vocalize properly anymore. So I don't know. It would have been funny. It literally would have been so funny to see All For One, like, let's say Bakugo just steps to the side here, right? He doesn't have his cool moment, and he just steps to the side, and All For One baby just. It just gets all the way to Shigaraki, and Shigaraki's like, it just kicks him. Just kicks him away, because Shigaraki kicks so hard, because he's like prime All Might level. Like, his foot, as it's passing through All For One, just poofs All For One out of existence. He's that fragile now. So he really is just cooked. And we see Bakugo realize, oh, would you look at that? He's standing right on the edge. Or should I say, he's fresh out the edge? Whatever. It'll be okay. He'll disappear in no time. And we see Bakugo ready to accept defeat, ready to get... Well, not even defeat. This is an easy dub. Like, me personally, this is just a testament to how insane and determined Bakugo is. Because in my mind, I would have taken the easy... I would have laid out. Like, I'll completely... How many of y'all would have done what Bakugo does in this scenario? Like, one, would you be able to get to the scenario and keep fighting? But two, how many of y'all would have done it if you were in Bakugo's exact same shoes? Me personally, I would have just collapsed. I probably would have blacked out from pain. I'll be completely real with you. I couldn't have done half, a quarter, a tenth, a hundredth, a thousandth, a trillionth of what Bakugo did. But you see him go to fall. But he remembers a conversation he had with Kirishima. I'm not sure if we saw this conversation once before. It sounds like and seems like one we've seen before, but with that being the case, we see Bakugo remember what he said to his friends. Standing through anything makes you crazy strong. And we see, in this moment, this is a detail I'm not sure if is just motion lines, because it seems to be somewhat motion lines, but I also want to assume it's kind of like an explosion thing. Bakugo refuses to let himself fall. In this moment, he decides to stand. I like to imagine that, once again, due to the permeation of explosion, the quirk throughout his entire body, this quirk awakening of his, that he can kind of just detonate from anywhere now. Like, if there's life juice anywhere in Bakugo's body, it doesn't have to be sweat anymore. It can be spit. It can be anything. Because we see he wraps the sweat in the non-explosive sweat, which is a nice evolution. I'll admit. I think that's cool how he took the top part, moved it around, slapped it on the bottom part. I like to imagine that he can kind of just make anything explode now. So he just blew his foot up a little bit to stand tall here. And we see All for Baby realize, oh no, he's still standing after all this time. Picking up the pieces of my life without you on my mind. I'm still standing. Yeah. And he declares, close call. My victory needs to be perfect. Got it. Once again. Endeavor's my favorite thing My Hero Academia and possibly Dujin as a whole has produced. Drink your water, folks. Stay hydrated. But even with Endeavor clearly, like, 10 toes down, like Bakugo standing 5 toes down, 10 toes down, favorite thing My Hero Academia and Dujin as a whole may have ever produced. Man, I think Bakugo has got that number 2 spot now. I think he's gotten it, man. For a character who for the longest time I felt had no direction in the story due to his lack of a main series counterpart, a main villain antagonist to go with his protagonist nature. I thought he was a character that was doing great, walking nowhere. Because he wasn't going to be Shigaraki. He wasn't going to be Dabi because that's Todoroki's character. He's not going to be Toad because that's... I don't know why my brain blanked in Uraraka right there, but that's Uraraka's character. He's not going to be Twice because Twice got by Hawks. He's not going to be Spinner because Spinner's Shoji's character. Like, all of these characters had parallels except for Bakugo, but All for One is the perfect parallel. If there's one thing, there's going to be a little spoilers for the All for One discussion video. If there's one thing I'm happy that All for One got brought back for, it's to be that parallel for Bakugo. It's something I didn't see coming. It's something that I wouldn't have asked for. It's something that, honestly, would I be willing to sacrifice if it meant that we got to just have either All for One and Shigaraki as a proper duo, or All for One just not brought back into the narrative? Most likely. But since we are here, since it has happened, I'll take it. I'll take it. With that being the case, we see that All for Baby's like, but, you know, once again, this goes back to the fact that I just have a big family. Babies all sound different. I don't know why. Like, obviously they do just scream for the most part and like they'll make general noises. Like, once they get to like 9 to 16 months, they'll start like verbalizing solid consonants and sounds and stuff like that. I think the earliest I've heard babies speak is like 1. Like consistently like verbalize full words and generally understand their meaning. But there's something so funny about this to me because I can only imagine like me picking up one of my baby cousins and like whenever they scream, just a whole projectile comes out. And this is like, look, this is more than Baby for One's body mass, and it came out. But once again, a little detail I like. It's so weird, right? Because I don't like All for One, I really don't. But the little details that Hori's built in, they're getting me just a little bit. What is the final quirk we see All for One use before he falls to rewind? What is the final quirk that comes out in the end of all things? His mom. His mother is the final quirk that pops out in a last-ditch effort to save All for One. The first quirk he ever took, the first quirk he ever claimed, that's the one. I like it. But that's the one. I'm sorry. But with that being the case, I do like the detail that is his mama's quirk. Strong as ever, leaping out. And once again, leaping out of his mouth, right? He could have fired it from his hands. He could have fired it from anywhere. He could have fired it from his forehead, for all we know. The unibeam. But he fires it from his mouth. The gaping black hole that consumes all. That consumes so many people, quirks, lives, worlds, nations, all that. It lunges out a last-ditch defense or a last-ditch offense. But what does Bakugo do? Boom! Looks like it could have pierced Bakugo, but notably you see it doesn't go through his head. And Baby, for one, is shocked and bamboozled as he trolls over his mama's defense. As Bakugo goes, boom! Nighty-night, all for one. And the reason I pointed this out earlier, so nice little bit of foreshadowing. I think this is Hori foreshadowing that Bakugo, once again, can detonate from anywhere now, because the explosions have permeated throughout his body. I think that's what this is supposed to be. That little light spot right there and that light spot there, it's supposed to imply that he has nitroglycerin all throughout his body at this point. So he's able to just... So he catches it, he catches the point with his teeth and detonates it with a mouth explosion. Like, he used the bite and the impact of his teeth on the spear itself to detonate it. Not only is that metal, like, of course, we've seen, I think, especially in anime, we've seen characters just, and they come back smiling with a bullet in their mouth. I think this is an even more metal variation of that. On the verge, losing his good mind, catches it with his teeth, blows it up, and spits it out. Very, very metal. And once again, nighty-night to the Baby, all for one. And we see it finally catch up to him after all this time.
No, my emotions are getting the best of me. This isn't like me. No, wait. No,
I hate it. Once again, the man who could feel no hatred, the man who could feel nothing, detonating, just like that, an explosion of hate. For you see, in the end, all for one did have hatred in his heart. He just hadn't found the reason to use it. And one thing I gotta say, one last time, because this is the goodbye to all for one, at least this variation of him, permanently, as he reverts back to Omega Baby, the truest form of Baby. He is so stupid. I want you, if he had just done the smart thing, if I was all for one, I would have won. I'll be real. You put me, note how I said, you put me in Bakugo's scenario, I couldn't do a trillionth of what he did. I couldn't do a quintillionth of what he did. I couldn't do a non-nillionth of what he did. But you put me in all for one shoes the moment he started rewinding, I won. I am gone. I am vanishing. No dark shadow, no gigantomachia, no, I'm gone. Instantaneously, I'm firing everything. I'm letting it loose. I am detonating, and I am gone. And I'm at Shigaraki. I don't care about All Might. I'll get him. I don't care about Bakugo. I'll get him. I don't care about anything. It is all for one's own genuine idiocy. That's the reason he lost. There's no reason he should have lost. Really. There's genuinely no reason. No reason at all. No reason. Not a reason in the world he should have lost. He was just stupid. And if anything, that's still a disappointment for the character for me. Am I happy he got his comeuppance? Yes. Am I happy it came at the hands of Bakugo? Yes. Am I happy what he did for Bakugo's character? Yes. Am I happy that he gave All Might a conclusion? Kind of, sort of. Am I happy that Shigaraki's free of him? Absolutely. But his stupidity, look at me, got me sounding, I try to combine stupidity and idiocy. But his stupidicy, whatever you want to call it, that's his downfall. And the thing is, it feels so contrived because we built the whole narrative of really, I'm going to say up until he started rewinding. Maybe a bit before that too, because he's making a few dumb mistakes here and there. Falling for the trap of Itadori and Aoyama, a little bit foolish, but I can get that. But we spent the whole narrative making this guy the smartest guy in the room. The Giga Brain Planner. Mr. Backup Plan for a backup plan. Once again, it's even mentioned at the beginning of this chapter that he has a backup plan for his backup plan. But the fact that he was so stupid in the end, and that's what caused his downfall. I'm happy with it. Because, hey, it'd be like that when it'd be like that, especially when it'd be like that awful one. But darn, bro. You could have won. And I know because I could have done it. Make me you, I could have done it. And the thing is, you could still have everything. Like, look, the sad thing about it is, if he was just, once again, if he was the character that he was for a majority of the narrative, if he straight up was the character he was for a majority of the narrative, and you may be able to say the hatred from Shigaraki that backwards infected him caused him some stupid sauce, and that's fine. But Making the same chapter, Kamino chapters, all for one, wouldn't have fallen for this. He would have gotten Shigaraki's body, dipped back. Heck, end of war arc, all for one, wouldn't have fallen for this. First war arc, would have gotten Shigaraki's body, turned back around, got All Might. He would probably ignore Midoriya for the most part immediately. If not, take care of Midoriya, then go take care of All Might, then go take care of Bakugo, then go take care of Gigantomaquia, of Mount Lady, of Tokuya. Like, you could, that's the thing, you could still do it all. Just All for One was so stupid, but enough. That's my final little stupid All for One rant. Hopefully we don't have to see this character ever again. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. But with that being the case, we see that All for One realizes in his final moments of a actual functioning brain, which is very impressive. He's been able to think as much as he did. That, like, I don't know, how can babies think? Like, I don't know about y'all. I didn't spawn in. Like, what is your spawn time? Because, like, I spawned in at like age 5. No, I always get that. I always think age 5. I think that's when my brother spawned in. Age 4. On the stairs. that's what I spawned in. So I don't know. Wait, damn, my brother from another. I'm trying to think when. I'm thinking of my best friend here. I call him my brother because, you know, brother from another mother. You know how it goes. But did he spawn in at age 5? I forget if that's him or my sister from another mister who spawned in at age 5. After this recording, I'm gonna have to text them to make sure I have that right, because we've talked about like our spawn in times before. But with that being the case, like, it's impressive that he's even able to think this much, like, and form coherent sentences in his head with a baby brain, or less than baby brain. And we see him think,
the stolen quirk factors are going back to their users.
As we see all the quirks inside All for One fade away, and we see Hawk say, "No, not happening. Way too big of a fan service." No, Kohei Horikoshi, you ain't slick. That's all I'm gonna say on it. Kohei Horikoshi, you ain't slick. Though I am happy that Hawks doesn't get his quirk back. Let him be quirkless. It's fine. Whatever. he got to rizz up a few quirk people in the quirk realm, and then he's gone. That's fine. I'm fine with that. And we see All for One revert all the way back to the cell, the egg, essentially. And then he's gone. Which is probably the same thing that happened to Aries' dad in like an instant. I still don't like Rewind. I'll be real. I love Aries as a character and what she does for Mirio and Midoriya's character. I seriously do not like Rewind as a mechanic. But hey, at least it worked to get rid of All for One. We see Bakugo standing. And we see as he goes to raise his arm, he goes, "Ah, gosh darn it. I wanted to strike All Might's victory pose." But just lifting his arm knocked him off balance. And he falls. And he gives up. He says, "Do your best, Izuku." So Bakugo won. And this is good. Hopefully, like, as much as I would have loved Bakugo to interfere in the Shigaraki fight, I wouldn't. I'm not gonna. I was about to lie to you and say I would have loved it. It would have been great. It would have been fan. No, I'm glad he's down. Give Midoriya his final fight, his final 1v1. Give it to him. The Todoroki family subplot, that makes sense to end with the family. It's something that in my own rewrite, I probably will release the old rewrite. I'm gonna have to do a second Dabi rewrite now that I know how that story ends and stuff like that. But with that being the case, I do like this little homage right here. And I do like how we have the 3 different people who struck this pose. We had All Might the original, Endeavor the successor, and the future in Bakugo. And that's sweet. I do like that. And I do like how in the end, he wishes his best to the only man to ever surpass him, Izuku Midoriya. And we cut back in time, completely away from this scene, as we see a few days before the battle. And Best Genius, with his long neck self, says, "We need to defeat Shigaraki."
The Claw. We need to defeat Shigaraki inside UA. We can't let him...
I'm sorry, I'm not going to give him that voice. I want to give him that voice, but I won't. We need to defeat Shigaraki inside UA. We can't let him fray the area and set himself free. Yeah, we'd be at a smashing disadvantage, like what happened in Jaco. Everyone talked about it. Frey? Like pants? Bakugo, why is that what comes to your mind? Frey, well, I guess, yeah, like pants, because Bastion is talking about Frey. So yeah, actually, that does make sense. Shouts to my boy Bakugo. No. It's about the split person. I'm going to give him the deepest voice I can muster that actually sounds organic and not like a werewolf voice. No. It's about their split personality and what we want to protect.
But we've already evacuated everyone. You're talking about the buildings?
Oh, shoot. Golly.
I know. And English. What is his name? Tamaki. Why are you pulling your head down, bro? Sun Eater. What even provoked this? What is happening?
But we see that Nedry brings up a good point. Like, what do you mean? The buildings? Like, what's going to happen here? And we see that Edshot's like, I'll be honest with you. We no longer have the luxury to worry about or think about the buildings. When we decide to fight Dabi and Kamino, we turn a blind eye to the destruction. Everyone's future. Protecting that will always be our top priority. And we see my wife declare that, get to the point already. I'm sick and tired of this. I need to go and lose my other ear and lose my other arm and lose the rest of my hand and get absolutely annihilated. Like, get Shigaraki to do all of 0 damage, but it still worked out. Their mental conflict will be a problem. I'd rather deal with All for One. He wants to rule. He won't be slaughtering en masse.
And that's true.
Once again, in the sense of an overwhelming antagonist, All for One is easier to deal with. Don't do this to me, computer. I will annihilate you. But All for One is ultimately easier to deal with than Shigaraki. Because Shigaraki, for all intents and purposes, Shigaraki couldn't care less about fighting the heroes. He would literally just appear and just dive straight for 2 hands down, get a whole good grip on the Earthussy and just tear it all apart if he really wanted to. So yeah, All for One, he's actually a better combatant. And we see Bakugo be like, I mean, nice idea, but Shigaraki won't stop unless he's executed everybody, right? Like, leveled everything. And Bakugo's right to bring up that point, as Bastion says, now that his power and hatred have peaked, he's destruction personified. He'll most likely target the ground itself.
Exactly.
Because with the way Decay works now, he no longer has to grab something specific. He can just remember the wave of destruction he caused while incomplete and fresh out the tube at the First War. So imagine what he could do now. Thinking about the future, whether we stand strong or get beat down, we'll need a place to stand on. What we need to protect is everyone. Japan itself. As you'll see, Shigaraki has intents to destroy everything. We see at the bunker, at the current time, they're watching the feed live. And we see some people are sad about their houses. Our house. Grandpa passed that farm down to us. At least you're still alive. But we see Inko Midoriya, the mother to Midoriya Izuku, worry about her son. Izuku. And I will admit, where is his father? He works overseas. That's not a fanon thing. I remember looking this up. Where is he? Does Hori not have a good relationship with his dad? Is that why? I don't. It feels so weird. Like you could have just made him not alive. You could just make it so that he didn't exist. You could have just said he passed away when Midoriya was young or something like that, and that Inko's a single mother or something like that. I don't know why make him, name drop him, do all that, and then just not tell us anything about the character or show us his reactions to his son fighting for his life. Does he even know? I don't know, because I was lucky enough to have my father in my life. So I know of if I were to do an infinity, I'm not sure what you would call a portion of infinity, but a fraction of a fraction of what Midoriya has done. My dad would want to know. I like to see a reaction at least. I know the only good dad in My Hero Academia is Mirio's dad and Jiro's dad, because those are the only two we see. And obviously the dads that stepped up and Aizawa and All Might, but where are they? That's crazy, though it is still sad to see Inko alone in the crowd, worrying for her beloved son. And we see that Shigaraki explained something. I'm gonna have to put so much liquid in to make sure I can. That sounds so wrong, but so much liquid in order to make this work.
Nothing better than an ice-cold bath. But with that being the case,
using decay to bore vertically instead of spreading it through the surface, I'll be able to destroy parts of Shiozuka in an instant.
So, I don't get how that's supposed to work, but supposedly he's going to decay upwards. I still don't fully get how this works, but the main thing, I don't really care how it works. He's explaining his grand plan as he says,
Japan has 378,000 square kilometers of land. It won't take me a week to erase it from the map.
There'll be someone count that. I know like there are much bigger calcs already, but someone count that. Let me know. What does that feed? Over the time frame, you got a week. He says less than a week, so make it 6 days, destroying all of Japan, leveling it all. How much energy would that take? Someone let me know. But would that be the case?
It won't take me a week to erase it from the map. There'll be no way to rebuild it. This will be my complete destruction.
So Shigaraki has admitted that there ain't no depth, there ain't no discrimination, there's no hatred for anything in particular, just Japan as it held the house, the world as it held the house. Shigaraki does not care about a future, all he cares about is destroying the past. Who knows, maybe once he's destroyed it all, if he wins, which he won't, but if he wins, the last person he'd ever decay is himself, because everything would be destroyed. And ultimately, who's a bigger reminder of that house and what it created than Shigaraki himself? So I do like that it's just being formulated on the table. If Midoriya loses here, and the Shigaraki personality is the dominant one, and the Tenko personality does not come back to the surface, the world dies. There's no if, ands, or buts. The world dies. It's as simple as that. There's no other way to put it. The world will die. So Midoriya has to succeed here, and either saving Tenko and reawakening him and shutting off the Shigaraki personality, or getting rid of Shigaraki. Because if Shigaraki wins, not only would there be no one left in creation to stop him, Bakugo's down, All Might's suit is destroyed, Uraraka's down, Todoroki, the entire Todoroki family is down, everyone, Stars and Stripes has been cooked for like the past 150 chapters. Like, Midoriya is the last bastion of defense against this god of destruction. It's gonna get tragic, and undeniably, there will be a new Paddock. Or there won't be, once Shigaraki destroys everything. So Midoriya realizes in this scenario, he's got to lock in. And we see that Midoriya is in fact using Gear Shift on top of Fajin. As he says, mixing Gear Shift, Fajin, and Danger Sense allows me to keep attacking. I need to finish this. But like, what do you mean by finish this? Because once again, I still don't think Midoriya is on that Shigaraki mindset, or else he'd like rip his head off or something. He's still just trying to kick him. In the belly, no less. Like, that's not going to do anything. With that being the case, he's locked in right now. And Shigaraki realizes something.
The master is dead. He reaped what he sowed for not destroying that brat. But in a way, I need to thank him. He made me stronger.
Now, I'm not sure if he's referring to All for One or Bakugo here. Because presumably the speed increase and the perfection of Bakugo is what allows for this to happen. As we see, Shigaraki reaches out, and he says himself,
strong enough to match his speed.
So, Midoriya is using Fajin, he's using Gear Shift, he's using whatever, 45-60% of One for All. He was bullying Shigaraki for the most part. But no, Shigaraki is more than fast enough to tag him. And not just tag him. The one little detail I do like here, you can immediately see, you can't tell the motion. Well, actually, you kind of can by this right here. This is some of the most kinetic Korisword has ever been. I love how you can tell before the fingers even reach Midoriya's face, he instantly went to remove them. He broke them off before they could even touch. You see it here more clearly, but like you can see by the white gash marks here, Midoriya with a karate chop. You can see him move in time here as well. Swing, slice. The motion's clean. Takes Shigaraki's fingers right off. So decay doesn't activate. That is one of the most metal things, if not the most metal thing Midoriya has ever done. Just taking the fingers right off. Not a chance, no hesitation. Beautiful, beautiful. The one thing I will admit though, if you can do this, why not decapitate him? Midoriya? I mean, I get his neck is thicker than his fingers, but like, try. Like, do something else. Like, if you're able to just clean slice through his body with a swing of your hand, bro. Remove his arms, move his legs, move something. Remove the thing, like, remove something, broski. Like, just swing. But of course, like, that'd be a little bit too graphic. And I don't think Midoriya would do that. I don't think he's aiming to do that. As we see, he does remove Shigaraki's fingers, because that's the main thing he's thinking about. He's thinking about decay. He has never really, I don't think it's ever crossed his mind that the main thing he should have looked out for is our quirk. All for one. As we see, he slices the fingers off. And Shigaraki even admits, you got rid of my fingers in a blink of an eye, huh? But one thing that is interesting here, it doesn't seem like Midoriya's holding him with Black Whip anymore. They're just having a full mid-air battle. So Shigaraki, he actually is playing around with Midoriya. For all intents and purposes, with no Black Whip around him, Shigaraki could just be like, bye, and just my Shigaraki is getting closer and closer and closer to imperfect self from TFS. And I'm not sure if I like that or if it's scaring me. A little bit of both. But yeah, without Black Whip holding him and Shigaraki just freeform flying, he could just dip back to the land. Sure, that would turn his back to Midoriya, which he probably doesn't fully want to do, but clearly Midoriya is either not strong enough to do any real damage to his core body and or is still holding back in some sort of shape and degree. So ultimately, Shigaraki's just playing around. And I guess in a way, he's doing what All For One didn't. He's doing the smart thing. By taking the battle all the way out here until his master was cooked, not only did he not have to worry about that anymore, but also, once Midoriya is taken down, as long as he makes sure that Midoriya can't escape to like America or something while he destroys all of Japan, then all of Shigaraki's threats are gone. The last Bastion will be cooked as well. And ultimately taking down Midoriya here is the smartest thing to do. Interesting. And we see that Banjo, or whatever his name is, he says, boy! And then Shigaraki has revealed what Midoriya realized. Danger sense! Shinomori-san is! How long can you last? While the fingers themselves were destroyed, the palm was left intact, and that left All For One more than capable of activating and taking away Danger Sense. Avoided certain death, but Danger Sense has been stolen. Midoriya lost a piece of All For One. Now the question is, though, does that nerf Midoriya all around? Because a thing that I've seen a lot of people have been hitting on for this chapter is very specifically, Danger Sense is gone. He doesn't have a Spider Sense anymore, and that's true. But the main thing is, One For All is a stacking ability, which is only as good as it is because it had 9 people in it. Now it only has 8. Is he going to get weaker? Like physically? Speed-wise? Is it now going to be easier? Remember, he's using Gear Shift, Fajin, and Danger Sense all to keep up with Shigaraki at this point. But Shigaraki's fast enough to attack him then, and he just lost part of the power stockpile that was in One For All. And of course, Danger Sense. Is there any reason why Shigaraki shouldn't demolish him? No. Will Shigaraki demolish him? No. So I'm very interested to see how Hori writes around this one. Because making Shigaraki this fast and this strong, it's, I think, the only way I could see Midoriya leaping back in and doing like real anything to this Shigaraki, especially now with a piece of the power lost, is that maybe in trade for him losing Danger Sense and Power Boost from the loss of Shinomori, and I do like that it's Danjiro, the guy who always messed with Shinomori, being the one that's the most concerned for it, but the main thing I like about this, maybe Midoriya can now increment higher percentages of All For One, or One For All, because One For All has less power stored in it. the stockpile's weaker now, so he can access more of it and thus trade off more. Though admittedly, with the gearship flowback coming in, with him losing danger sense, with Vajian likely taking a toll on his body, I think him breaking his bones would kind of be a last resort kind of thing, but I think this now time to dive into the last resort, since Shigaraki has gone full klepto and taken the whole quirk from him. So while Shigaraki wasn't interested in One for All, he's more than interested in getting rid of Midoriya, so it's looking quite tragic, maybe even new panic. But of course, this chapter is worthy. That's automatic. But yes, of course, this is a very worthy chapter. Why? Once again, the big bad one. Obviously, goodbye and good riddance to that waste of space, All for One. Hallelujah. I'm so glad that he's gone. Thank you. Thank you. I'll take what little consequences I can get. The fact that the quirks didn't go back to the original, essentially Hawks, we have no idea who any of these people are, and no one cares. But the fact that Hawks doesn't get his quirk back, that's nice enough. I'll take that. W consequences. The fact that Bakugo got his final cool moment and ended up getting a pose moment, beautiful. Like it. Love it. The fact that this crew got to talk, nice, little sweet detail. And obviously Shigaraki vs. Midoriya finally starting is great. However, one thing I will admit before I go, I don't think we're actually going to see this. At least not fully. Because remember, we still have to take care of, I keep bringing it up, we still have to take care of Aizawa and President Mike and whatever the cloud guy's name, I always forget his name, Oboro, I think? Oboro? The cloud guy that's good to get. We need to take care of that plotline. Every other plotline's wrapped up, but not this one. Or not that one. So I still think we may cut away from this one. Though admittedly, we are not on break next week, so crazy things can indeed happen. However, yes, this is a massively W chapter. If you guys been all the way to the end of this video, please leave what should I? One for baby. Instead of baby for one, leave one for baby in the comment section down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You can also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dabi with a pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays, Red Wolf 4765, Greyhound, and Akid's Void. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $5 patrons, Victor, Sean, Midnight Gemlord, Kevin, Demix LND, and Igneal. And I'd like to give a chunky old thank you to our $7 member, Autumn's Morning Lazo. And I'd like to give another chunka thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchiha, Joaquin, Idemokami, and China Doll 09. I'd like to give a tractor thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. I'd like to give another giga gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.